I'm April Sexton. I am the kindergarten through 12th grade general music teacher, band director, and choir director at Paintsville Independent Schools. And my grant this year was virtual learning in the music room. So my area of focus, which was my problem of practice, my problem is finding a way to be able to teach my online students and my in-person students while I'm going class to class on a cart with the same rigor, structure, and success as any normal school year. And this school year, we all know, is anything but normal. So I'm trying to make it as normal as possible. My strategy, I will implement the use of online learning resources to help with the virtual instruction and the in-person instruction as well as I'm traveling from room to room on my music cart. In order to help me, my resources will be an online subscription to Music Play Online for my elementary classes, an online subscription to Essential Elements Interactive for my band students, an online subscription to a choir portal to use with my choir player app for all my choir students, and an iPad to use with all these online subscriptions and for the purchase of the tracks for my choir player app, which I will show you here in a minute. For my elementary students, here is how my elementary students are going to be actively involved this year, whether they are online or they are in person. I have created a music classroom and we are using Google. And so I have a Google Music Classroom. And when the kids click on my music room, this one is an example of 4th grade. It will have a lesson for them, has stuff written on the board. My whole room is interactive. They can click on any of the posters to get a lesson in melody. They can click the piano and it will play. But the online, musiconline.com, musicplayonline.com, right here is where they will click for their lesson each week. And here's an example. Oh, let me go back. I have to hold it down. So here's an example of their lesson. So this is their interactive classroom. You can see my mouse turns into a little hand where I could actually click on any of these for them to play. And their lesson for last week is right here. So this is Music Play Online. And for grade 4, looks like we have our song, Wake Me, Shake Me, that we would start with. And all they have to do is push play. We can make the screen bigger. We can sing it together. Learn about the staff. This was our main focus last week for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, actually. Not only do we have songs on Music Online, but we also have some interactive activities. So last week, all my students clicked the Launch Interactive, and we went through this together as in person. We were building our music staff, dragging our lines. My interactive students, my virtual students, also were doing the same lesson. And then at the end, and so they got to go next and just learning more about the music staff. After they were finished with this, at the top, there were some worksheets. And so I just clicked on the worksheet. I made it interactive by putting some text boxes in, and they were able to fill out the worksheet, which went along with that interactive lesson, and submit it so that I could see that they actually went through the lesson. They were reviewing their lines and spaces on the music staff, and they were completing their lessons. So this, like I said, is just a 4th grade lesson. They have kindergarten all the way through 6th grade. And so each week, depending on what grade I'm teaching, I will either have a 1st grade lesson, and I'm using right now the online lessons, but there's other options out there as well, as you just saw. There's preschool. Each week they are adding new lessons to their lesson board, and it just keeps going. But this resource, I'm already using it in the classroom, and it is amazing. We're talking about recorders, even though we can't play recorders right now in the classroom, but I'm able to send the recorders home with my students, and we just today went through all about the recorder. We're looking at some songs so they can practice and play at home. So that is the Music Play Online. That's for my elementary kids. And like I said, I'm already using it, and it's turned out to be a great resource. For my older kids, let me go back and present this. So that's our elementary. My band students, we are using the Essential Elements book, but a part of the band book, there is actually an online feature, but you have to have a copy of the book. Every student has to have their own book in order to be able to use this online interactive feature. And this has been great for my students who are not coming into the classroom to play, the ones that I'm teaching virtually. Here I just put a generic welcome clarinet, but I can actually have them sign up as their name. So it says welcome. They can start charting their practices, how many minutes they're practicing a day. I can see when they're practicing right here in the music studio. This is their book right here, basically. But not only do I love it because it's showing us, here's our first note, here's how we play our first note on the clarinet, but they get to hear it. So this is great even for my in-person students. And I can choose it to have no accompaniment where they're just hearing their clarinet. That was with a band accompaniment, what it would sound like if we were in the band room. And then if I take away the accompaniment.
And play.
So right here, if I tell them I need you to focus on song number 12 this week, they can click right on it. It will play it for them. Everything that they need for their book is right here. There are other resources. There's some videos. If I've added videos to this, yeah, I did. So there's videos on here of how to put your horn together, how to form your embouchure when you're playing the clarinet. Here's how you put your reed on your clarinet. All these little things that in class, in person, I can actually touch their horns and show them. And right now I can't do that. So this is great because this is a way for especially our virtual students to be able to see, but I'm also using these for our in-person students so they can also see this is how we play. My beginners are not the only ones using this though. I'm also using this with our advanced players. If I go back, you can see over here, there's a book 2, there's a book 3. I've ordered book 2 for a lot of my students so that we can use the online interactive with my advanced students as well. So that is our band book. Now, if I go back for choir, because I'm the elementary, middle school music teacher, the band director, and the choir director. So for choir, we are using an app called Choir Player. So all the students have already downloaded this app, and there is a choir portal that hooks this app in. You can see down here that I have my 12 members already signed up. And when I click on the Choir Player app and I add a song to my choir player, it automatically will give all my students that same song. So the students are not having to purchase all these songs. Let me see if I can't share it with you. I'm going to stop sharing that screen and I'm going to share my iPad with you because it is an app. I do have to have it on an iPad or an iPhone or some kind of Google device. So sharing my iPad. Let me choose the right one. There it is. All right. So, and we go through this every day when I'm Zooming with my choir kids or my band kids, having to share different devices while we are half virtual, half in person. So here's the Choir Player app. And this thing, I love it. Like this is life-changing, not just for virtual students, but for my in-person students as well. Let me show you an example. First of all, we've started adding Christmas songs. We added that one today. They have some warm-ups on here. So I can tell them, make sure you practice your warm-up.
This first exercise is called the lip roll on an arpeggio.
And she talks about it. I'm going to fast forward just so you can hear some of it. And so
it on keeping the breath
plays the piano for us. So that's some of the warm-ups. And then for our songs, loving this because this is what makes this app so great. Our newest song that we're going to be looking at. It's the most wonderful time. Okay, so we can hear everything right now. If I only want them to hear the voices, I just touch the band. I can make them softer, or I can turn the band off completely if I want them focusing in on the voices. Ding dong, with the kids in the... Now, Our main part is the tenor part. So maybe that soprano part that you just heard is interfering. So let's get rid of the sopranos. Let's turn the altos down just a little bit, but not get rid of them. And let's get rid of the basses and see.
Belling and everyone
Now we just hear
telling you
the
be
tenor
of
part.
good
There's our
cheer.
alto.
It's the
Let me get
most
rid of the altos.
wonderful
They're bothering us.
time of the year.
Now, let's take away our main part and just hear the accompaniment. And here's our words. So that, let me move my screen down right there where I can add the words or take the words away. This app, like I said, it really has been life-changing in choir because the kids can practice at home and they're practicing correctly and properly with the models that are singing in tune, in pitch. It's wonderful. You might have noticed that I had the Star Spangled Banner up. I want to show you that because some of my kids are going to be soloing for some basketball games singing the Star Spangled Banner, but they don't all necessarily sing this high. So the sopranos have the main part on this. I'll just turn everybody else off. So there's a little button down here that I can touch, and they're able to actually change the pitch. If they need it in a lower key, they can lower the pitch. If they need it in a higher key, they can raise the pitch. And let me lower it so you can hear. Much lower. So we can change the key, we can change the pitch, we can change the speed, we can turn the instruments off, we can turn the instruments on. This app really has been amazing. I've been so excited about it. All right, so let me go back to my PowerPoint presentation. So those are the three main things, plus meaning the iPad. Right now I'm using my personal iPad and we're getting into troubles with me trying to purchase the songs, which I didn't show you, but on that app, I do have to purchase the individual songs through that app. But like I said, once the school purchases it, then it pushes it out to all the students so they don't have to worry about paying $1.99, $2.99 each week for a new song, which is wonderful. So research questions. Are my students still progressing at an average rate while using these online resources versus my in-person music classroom resources? So I'm wondering, are we still progressing like we normally would by using these? I can tell you I've already been using them in my classroom and online, and especially with the choir one, I feel like we're right where we need to be and we're doing a great job. Are my students actually progressing more quickly? I would say if all my kids were in person, even using the app in person for choir, we would definitely be progressing more quickly. With the elementary and the band students, we seem to be just right on track as normal. And are my students struggling using these online resources? The only people who are kind of struggling are my online elementary kids, because they still sometimes they get caught up in all the different pages you saw. They might click on the wrong thing and they get put in the wrong lesson. But as far as my in-person kids, because we're going through these lessons, they have their Chromebooks out every day and we're doing these in the classroom and they're loving it. They, me following, showing them how to do it, as long as I'm able to show them and help them, they got it. My band and choir kids, they're having no troubles whatsoever. And I really think that they're enjoying having something different this year. Outcomes that will prove my innovation has succeeded. My elementary students should be able to progress through the elements of music just like they normally would. My beginning band students are going to actually learn how to play their instruments, and my advanced students will continue to progress as normal. And my choir students will be able to do all the things they normally are, improve in solfege, sight reading, harmonization, and just be able to sing as they normally would. And I'll measure these outcomes by comparing past performances. We may be able to go to concert festival this year with my band, which is where we are rated proficient, distinguished. And so if we have a rating like what we have in the past, I'll know that we've been successful. Just tracking the progression of individual students. So really though, since I see these kids kindergarten through 12th grade, I know what levels these students should be on and how fast they should be progressing. And I can really tell if they are getting it or if they're not. And like I said, right now we seem to be right on track. How can I be sure that any positive outcomes on these measures are actually due to my innovation and not something else? This is the only new thing I'm doing this year. I've taught for 20 years. I've taught basically, the same way. I change things around every year, but I've never used completely online resources, especially the choir app. I've never used the online part of the Essential Elements book for band, and I definitely have never used a complete online program for my elementary kids. So all these positive outcomes are definitely from these online innovations. And that is the end of my PowerPoint. So I'm super excited. Thank you for awarding me this grant. My kids are loving it. All my students are loving it. And I am really enjoying being able to teach online and in person and be feeling like I'm being pretty successful with it, not pulling my hair out. It's been a great year so far. So thank you so much.